take this company and all of you to even greater heights. I will start by sharing few words that were spoken by Jack Welch. Everybody knows Jack Welch. You have that other CEOs don't have. And his answer, I still remember. He said, I have access to all the talent in the world. I have, like everybody else. I have access to the best consultants in the world, just like everybody else. But I have one thing that perhaps other CEOs don't have. And that is will to execute. It's amazing, in my 25, 30 years of my work, 20 years of that was spent in the US and 10 years in India. I've seen companies where everybody knows what to do. I don't need to come here to tell you about customer centricity. I think you guys have been, what I heard from Dr. Singhania, Harshpati Singhania ji, and Prem ji and others. You know what customer centricity is, you know what are the benefits of it. I think the key is going to be if you can translate those words into execution, if you can translate those words into the delight for the customers. Right? And when Prem ji called me to say, hey, would you come and talk about customer centricity? I looked at a lot of the literature to see what is the definition of customer centricity. And I got so much consulting jargon, I saw so many different words. And then I realized customer centricity is nothing but winning the mind and soul of your customer. It's actually, today, one of your leaders came to me and said, Arvind has been working with us and he's outstanding. Guess what? That made my day. It's hearing from your clients. It's actually caring about our clients more than our own P&Ls. And the day your customers start believing that you care about them more than you care about your own profit and losses, I think that's when you have captured their imagination. The simple words that we all hear, honesty, sincerity, I think that's what our customers are looking for. Somebody to actually hear them, not pretend to hear them. I think that's what customer centricity is. Let me just, a bit of history, right? 1900s, age of manufacturing. Over the years, you've seen 1990, age of information. If you have information, you are very powerful. Do you remember the days when buyers would realize on the salesmen who would come to them and the salesman would give them all the information about the product, also about the competitors. Right? So you're actually realizing and depending on the information provided to you. 2010 onwards, it's been an age of customer. The question is, why is it called the age of customer? Why was it not the age of customer 50 years ago? What has happened that makes it age of customer? Technology has totally disrupted the entire business climate. Customers are smarter. Even before a salesman comes, the customer knows about the vendor or a company much more than sometimes even the salesman knows. You can go to the net and not only get information on pricing, products, services, but not only that, you can get information about your competitors. So you cannot fool the customers. That's point number one. Second thing is, the balance of power has shifted. Used to be the seller was more powerful than the customer. Today, customers are more powerful because they know a lot more than the companies or their salespeople. Third one, amazing thing that has happened, right? We all grew up in an economy where resources were constrained. You wanted to buy a Vespa scooter, there was a long line for it. You wanted to have a telephone, there was a long line. Today, because of the technology, there is proliferation of products and services. There is no more monopoly situations or even oligopoly situations. Customers have choices. You have to attract those customers towards you. They don't need to attract you towards them. And I think that's the biggest challenge companies face. But I also believe it's also the biggest opportunity JK Group has. How do you differentiate yourself? How do you become more customer friendly than anybody else? Your competitors may have tremendous technology, tremendous global brands, but they may not be able to touch the clients or your customers the way you may be able to. We were doing a study for this mall where there were 5 small pharma stores. Slowly what happened was major chains came, which had thousands of stores, and 4 small shops were replaced by the 4 major pharma chains. But there is one small pharma store still remained in the business, and they were kicking the butt of the 4 major chains. I remember going there with some of my consultants, and we said, what is it that you do? We stood there. Just imagine, this was owned by a single individual versus the behemoth chains which had global connections and sophisticated supply chain and so on and so forth. The key differentiator was the way this business or this shopkeeper treated his employees. He knew the name of every customer that came into the shop. He made a point to ask them, how are they feeling today? Whereas the other 4 shops, you go there, somebody says, what do you need? Every customer wants to feel important. It's sometimes not even products. It's hard to differentiate between products. But if you care about your customers, if you ask them simple questions, how are you feeling today? What more can I do for you? Are you happy with the service we have provided you? Such obvious things most businesses don't do. So what happens to companies who don't do this stuff? The impact can be absolutely devastating. I mean, we all grew up with companies like Kodak, right? Every picture you took had a Kodak film. They were so enamored by themselves, they were so fixated on bringing the best film as the next generation of the product, right? Forgot about technology, forgot about what are the customers looking for. Do you remember the film was so cumbersome? And even if after you take a picture, you had to put it in some black area so that it doesn't get exposed. They were not listening to the customers. They were so enamored by their own products. Guess what? They announced bankruptcy. An iconic brand disappeared overnight. General Motors. In my times in US, General Motors was one of the best places to work for a guy like me who graduated as an industrial engineer from a university in the US. 10 years later, they had to declare bankruptcy because they were so arrogant that they had the best manufacturing, they had the best brands, they had the #1 market share globally. What they were not doing was listening to the customers in terms of why their designs and their cars were getting isolated. AT&T was a household name. You wanted a phone, landlines, it was a monopoly. Guess what? They thought for the rest of the life of their customers, people are just happy to have a phone at home. They didn't realize people may want to talk when they are traveling on a bus or on a plane or going to the market, so on and so forth. And they totally missed the mobile phone revolution. For a company of that size and magnitude, they had to sell to another company in our lifetime, within a span of 10, 20 years. And that's why I was telling Ashpati ji, for you guys to survive over 100 years, all of you are blessed to be working for this company. So how do you become customer-centric? I think, words, how do you translate these words into some actions? If you were a small company, a small store, easy to do it. You are the promoter, you are the owner. You say, yeah, I'm going to remember the names of every customer and client. But for a company of this size and magnitude, how do you affect that change? And I think somebody mentioned before me that it is about mindset change. It is about changing the entire culture. My first job in the US was on a shop floor. After 2 weeks, my boss tells me, and this is 25 years back, Arvind, go sell some products. I want you to go. So we need to make sure that we articulate what are our customers looking for. And it's not a steady state thing. Customer preferences, expectations evolve very fast. I think Dr. Singhania, you gave an example that for airlines, it took 50 years to go to X to Y customers, and then short period of time, they got to that customer night with somebody coming up with a wonderful product to solve all your problems. And I'll give you some examples. The second one is, gone are the days where you can have a transactional relationship. That, hey, I'm going to do business with this company, I make money, so I need to have certain margins, and then I move on to the next customer. Because I need to, tell the shareholders that, I need to do my sales for this quarter and for this year. You need to have long-term relationships. You need to have relationships where maybe in 1 year you may actually lose money with that customer or a client. But that journey is going to be profitable. I have had clients where for 3 years or 5 years, we have never done any business. And then one day the client calls me and says, I have a problem, please come and help me. It's in every industry, manufacturing, your clients. I heard one of the videos where the guy was saying that, I want to give business to my Indian company. Not the foreign companies, but the Indian company has to give me value. At least equal to what others are willing to provide. So I think it is incumbent upon us to actually listen to those kind of statements and really assess where are we lacking? What is the delta between us and our competitors? And the third thing is, I think there has to be a belief inside. Constantly measuring ourselves to say, are we delivering more value than we are charging our clients? And the day that equation goes into negative, that customer will go somewhere else. It's an honest and true self-assessment. How many companies do that? Very few. So I think it's the journey. I think if we do these three things, it's fundamentally shifting and changing the culture of the company. So who are some of the companies that have fundamentally, changed the way they behave, fundamentally put customers ahead of everybody else? I'm going to share a few examples, but there are a number of other examples. Amazon, everybody knows. I remember I was in the US and e-commerce was a big craze in early 2000. 98% of the e-commerce companies went bankrupt. Companies which had market cap of as high as $10 billion. But after 25 years, this one company, Amazon, has killed every one of their competitors. It's giving run for the money to even companies like Walmart, which at one time had the largest market capitalization of any company. And today, you know what's happening with Walmart, right? They're looking for an e-commerce company, they acquired a company. So why is Amazon so successful? What is it they are doing that is so different? It's obsession with customers. It's obsession in understanding. I mean, they are selling books, so can everybody else, right? They are selling washing machines, so can Flipkart or every other company. So what is it about them? Every meeting they have an empty chair. And they call it a chair where customer is sitting. Just think about it. In every meeting, every conference, they have a chair. So they know that every outcome has to benefit this guy, a notional guy sitting on the chair. That is obsession. Someone may say the guy is crazy, but that craziness has help them. So when you get a product from Amazon, you don't like it, you send it back. No questions asked. Their customer services, SLAs are world class. Relentless focus on keep improving. Keep delighting their customers. I mean, they are such a late entrant into India. Within a short period of time, they just Apple, all of us know how idiot-proof their products are. Right? I mean, they have listened to their customers, they have designed their products and services to look beautiful. They have given a customer experience that is unparalleled. Harley Davidson. What they have said is, we are not an automotive company, even though we have wheels and we have a motorcycle, but we are a lifestyle company. We provide our customers a lifestyle. People don't use our mobiles to go from point A to point B. That anybody can do. Somebody uses Harley as a symbol of the fact that I'm a fun-loving guy. I want to have fun. I want to enjoy life. This is for leisure. This is not for mundane things. Virgin. I don't know how many of you have traveled through Virgin. Dr. Singhania has. I don't know what your experience was. Outstanding, right? I remember I was a young consultant and suddenly I got an engagement with Unilever. So I was traveling from New York to London every other week. And suddenly my company said, you know, we have signed a contract with a company called Virgin. And I was like, really? Virgin? And even the name doesn't sound very exciting. And I boarded that flight. And for the first time in my life, and as you know, when we are on the plane, we are always thinking, when would this journey end? Let me go and do something else, right? Go relax or something. This, as a consultant, I was on the planes constantly, and for the first time, every issue, problem that I had with any other airline that I had traveled, suddenly this guy had thought through every one of those pain points and solved that problem. The seats were flatbed, you remember, for the first time. Otherwise, the seats used to be reclining, even in business class, so you used to slip over a period of time. I used to always wonder, why do I have to eat the minute I board the plane? They were the first ones to say, you can eat anytime you like. They were the first ones who would pick me up from my home and take me to the airport and then pick me up from the airport to wherever I needed to go. They were the first ones, they even offered massages on the plane. I mean, you are there for 6 hours, 7 hours, you are tired as a business traveler. Just imagine, I could get a haircut in the lounge in London. You've gone through this. I could get my shoe polished. Suddenly I didn't have to look so disheveled. They put a shower in their lounge so that if I'm taking an overnight flight, I don't have to rent a hotel to wash up, etc. It was mind-blowing.
You could listen to rock music.
You could listen to the rock music. Right? I mean, I'm sure if you remember it, and they were the first one. Now a lot of them offer it. And I don't know if all of you know this, but British Airways tried to kill this airline. I mean, this was hardly funded. I mean, this guy had, but they survived because customers and clients like me and Dr. Singhania loved it. The experience was magnificent. Next time, I didn't want to fly any other airline. I didn't care whether, what the price was. Goodyear, I think they are using machine learning, artificial intelligence, analytics to help their customers get the most out of their products. What should be the air pressure in 45-degree temperatures versus 30-degree temperatures? How to get the most out of your products, etc. So, I mean, these are some examples of companies that have really taken time to understand their customers. And these companies had a lot of challenges, so it's not like it was a slam dunk. I'm going to talk about three things. One is communication. Right? The communication has to be, after you define and agree on what ought to be your vision, how do you want to change the organization? Do you want to be customer-centric? How do you make sure that that value is imbibed by everyone in the organization? That it's not just residing with the C-suite, with the owners of the firm, that it transcends to the lowest person on the assembly floor. How do you make sure that this value system resides not only in HR organization or in sales, that it transcends horizontally across the organization? Sounds very simple, very difficult to do, because 3 days later, all of you will go back to your jobs and you'll be like in silos. So how do you break those silos? How do you develop cross-functional teams? How many of you have gone and spent time with the sales team, for example? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next time we should have 100%. Because I think ability to get out of your offices, ability to get out of the manufacturing facilities, or if you are a finance person, to get out of your office and go talk to the clients and customers, and then realizing that customers can complain, and how do you deal with them? What problems do they have that you need to solve? Some of them may be finance related, some of them may be technology related, some of them defects in manufacturing. And that understanding only comes when you hear it from the horse's mouth.
Dr. Singhania had started sending the workmen to the customer.
No wonder this company has survived for so long. No, I mean, this is forward thinking. Right? This is breaking the old traditional way of thinking about companies.
Way back.
Awesome. And then the last one. So oftentimes we do all of these things, but we don't empower people. For every decision, it goes up to the chain of command. I think the day we empower people who are actually interacting with the customers, whether the customer is talking to the salesperson, whether the customer is talking to somebody on the phone, to take instant decisions in the benefit of the client or customer, and not worry about how will it impact my company financially. I think we would have made major stride. It takes a lot to convert an organization into a customer-centric organization. I mean, it's a very complex journey. It's a difficult journey, but a journey that you cannot not afford to take. And I'm sure that this organization, with the prestige and the reverence that people have, and the brand and the respect that you have garnered in the marketplace, that you have done probably 80% of the things that are required to become a customer-centric organization. But I think there is an opportunity to close that 20% gap. The first one, as I mentioned before, changing the mindset, being very curious. That when a sales guy goes, when an executive goes to talk to the customer, that you're not just interested, let me close the sale and get the hell out of here. Or when you're asking questions, that you're not just doing it for the heck of it because your boss and somebody, has told you to do that. But it's becoming very curious. What are their pain points? Being humble, to acknowledge that our customers know a lot more than we do. Not an easy thing to do, right? We all get arrogant, we all say, hey, I know what I'm doing, I've been doing this for 35 years. I know everything about manufacturing, I know everything about tire business, I know everything about paper business. I know more than my customer who's just been in this business 5 years. So I think that mindset needs to be changed as really designing products and solutions that really your customers need and want. You can't do it in isolation. You can't have a bunch of extremely smart engineers, technologists sitting in. It's no longer front office, middle office, and back office. That old model is not going to survive. The front office needs to be connected to middle office and back office. You need to have everybody in music, it's going to be noise. The conductor makes sure that everybody's playing in sync, in harmony, so that it's beautiful music. And I think that's what I believe the job of a CEO or a owner or whatever is, to make sure that all of these departments, you know what their marketing was? They had sent to their clients the video of their manufacturing facilities. That look, the pain, talking about their products. So I think it's entire organization has a role to play. Even finance doesn't need to be back office. Right. Third one is organizational alignment, which is what I'm talking about. If the organization is not aligned, but what Jack Welch said, if you don't have the will to execute, if you have people who's going to create pockets of resistance, because they're like, oh, this is all theme of the day, and you don't want to force things. Right? Mandating things, forcing things should be the last resort. You need to change the culture, have a lot of conversations with your own people, and as we all agreed, our employees are more important, if not as important as our customers, because if your employees don't see the value in treating customers well, guess what? They're not going to treat the customers well. No matter you could triple their compensation. So I think all of these things have to happen. So step 1 to 4 sounds very simple, but that's the art. And that's what I think this great organization ought everybody in this company to talk to the customer, talk to the clients, go on sales pitches, become more externally focused rather than just inwardly focused. Even if you go spend one day, you learn a lot. Right? I talked about people strategy. It should be incorporated in every product and service that you're going to offer in the future. And in this world of data analytics, machine learning, you want to capture. So let me stop there and just finish it with what Michael LeBou said. Every company's greatest asset are its customers. Because without customers, there is no company. You can have the best product in the world, but if nobody buys it,
the answer seems to be logically flowing in straight there.
So I think the question is, what's the tagline for JK? Can you do something which is